Hello, my name is Harper, and I am a recently fused alter, recently as in yesterday. Today is going to be a little bit more of a serious video. I know the cat's crawling all over me when I say that. Don't let the adorableness of this cat fool you. This video is going to be serious. This video is basically going to be me talking about fusion and my experiences with it, but in talking about that, I'm going to be talking about some really intense stuff. I'll put all the trigger warnings like here now. If any of those topics are triggering to you, please click away. Please do not watch this video. Like, self-care is always first. Please take care of yourself. Also, just ahead of time, I'm gonna apologize for the background. I know it's pretty messy. I just think that these two windows are framing us nicely, and we have not managed to finish setting up our background yet, and that area is just such a mess right now. I don't even want to try to step over there. So I am a fused alter. I fused 11 times yesterday, and this type of fusion, I'm not sure if there's an official term for it. I can't be bothered to look right now, but I'm just gonna call it a group fusion. The brain has been really needing this one to happen specifically. The names of the people who fused I'll put right here and here. You guys probably didn't really know them. I think only one of them ever posted on the account, and she posted under an alias. I'm fine putting all the names out there now, because now, after the fact, we've already tested it. None of those names have a trigger over me. These fusions needed to happen. Our brain was kind of throwing us into it. We've been rapid switching because this emotion had came up in therapy and processing some trauma, and we had been rapid switching due to it, and we didn't notice that was the reason until all of a sudden Tay was fronting. Tay was from the subsystem Talo. Basically, so Talo is a subsystem where it's mostly persecutors, like reforming-ish persecutors and reforming-ish sexual protectors, who basically we haven't fronted in forever. And finally, for the first time in a couple of years, that night, we got control of the subsystem. We got given control of the body entirely for like the past couple of days, and it's not something that's happened since we got sober. I'm not gonna go into a lot of details, but we've struggled with addiction in the past. One of the times we moved, we lost access to like everything, and then we ended up having to get clean like that, and then my subsystem just stopped fronting because it was mostly my subsystem doing shit. And now this is our first time fronting since that, so it's almost like we skipped in time. We've gotten in contact, so I've known what's gone on. Like, I know roughly what has happened, and I can explain since that time, like from start to finish. I know it's 2020 and I'm like grounded in the present. I know that we're not experiencing trauma anymore. And now that we're not experiencing trauma anymore, for the first time, I'm having this realization that should be obvious. I feel like this is a realization that most people are aware of. But I was not, and that realization is you can't deal with shit if you're high all the time. I'm sitting here for the first time having the realization of, oh, you have to be sober in order to realize what you need in order to work on your mental health. And thank you, Washa. I keep getting anxious, and then Washa sets his paw on me. It's really nice. And we were completely unable to heal because we were shutting our emotions off all the time. And Tay had this like profound sadness that like was just completely muted all the time because it was just so intense. He couldn't deal with it, so he would just rather feel nothing, so he'd turn it off. He'd do cocaine because that way you can actually feel something, because something better than that drowning feeling of sadness. I was talking to the therapist, I was talking to her, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there ranting about how I think therapy is bullshit and it's never worked before and etc, and I'm not gonna do because I know that it's bad for the body, but if I had my own body, I'd sure as shit be high as fuck right now. I wouldn't care. That's what I was talking about. And then all of a sudden Luca came Kokon and he was like, dude, your front strength's ridiculous. We need you. I heard you talking about not being needed and not being able to go dormant. It's because we need someone with your front strength for XYZ. So basically, Luca and Tay ended up fusing on accident, like, in the heat of this therapy session. And then as soon as we fused, I just started sobbing. We were crying, we called for Arthur because the feeling, no longer shutting off the feelings that Tay has been holding for God knows how long, was so overwhelming. I couldn't handle it. I felt like I was dying. That's how sad I was. Like, that's why the sadness really is profound. There's no other word for it. After the two of them fused, then Madison realized what was going on and she came Kokon and tracked down everyone else in the fusion group and had us all fuse one after the other like that. We all just merged and it was this giant like group fusion. And then as she was like lining people up where they went, it was almost like fitting in puzzle pieces. And then she stepped in afterwards on the computer. She lined it all up, removed the amnesiac barriers, and then stepped into the like this glowing mass of Lego blocks almost. And then she stepped in there and I came out. She was the final person to fuse. I just did some mild stretching. I think I kept recording. I don't know. I was dissociating a bit and I just had to zen and center myself and ground because I got a little bit too caught up in the fusion moment because it's very emotional. It was very complicated. I think I talked enough on that for now. I don't want to trigger myself to spiral. So I just used my coping mechanisms, worked through it, calm down the tic attack, and I've just gone from there. But I think what I've realized in fusing now, in doing that, even this moment here, is an example of how I'm more equipped, I pronounced that wrong. That's from Annabeth. It's so weird feeling parts of myself being other people. I'm not quite stabilized as one being. That sounds weird and I apologize. But I'm not quite stabilized as one being yet enough to view myself from one perspective. I still view myself as an amalgam of multiple people. I think that's going to take a second to calm down, because though the personalities, not all of them, but a lot of the personalities we have now are kind of like fragments that also we've existed like this for so long that we've managed to develop as people. A lot of our alters are, we have made a post about this on Instagram, which I will link in the description below. It's about how we classify alters. Most of us are second level alters at this point. So it's very, not me, I would now be considered a fully developed alter, but we don't have as many fully developed alters in our system. And I think we've realized through this that we need to fuse a lot more than we initially thought, because we initially just wanted to fuse like fragments and then be like, okay, now we're good. But now when we're looking at it, it's like, no, we had people who were saying they were okay and didn't need to fuse, that fused into me. And the little bit of experience I've had as myself, some of it has been overwhelming, but for the most part, I just feel this overwhelming sense of relief. I feel like some weight has been lifted off my chest. I feel like I can breathe. I feel safe. I feel safe. And that's a big deal. That's the first time in my life that I've ever felt that way. And that's a lot of us feeling that. Like a lot of the people who fused. And it's helped me realize that just sharing information with people in every subsystem isn't enough. We can't just have one subsystem fronting. We have to all be working together, like all fucking 1,000 of us. And it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be difficult, and it's gonna be weird as shit. And YouTube and Instagram and social media is gonna be a great tool for us in documenting like what that looks like. Okay, so that is going to be all for this video. I feel really bad, like self-promoting after that type of video. Like everything's just in the description, but I don't know, thank you for watching. I'm sorry this is not what you were expecting.